Welcome to the Tremendous Hustle channel. About to discuss the Indiana Pacers versus the New York Knicks. Now, should be a very good series because the Indiana Pacers and the Knicks both have kind of emerged playing well in the playoffs and also have a good, solid identity that each of them can really hang their hat on. We know what to expect from them. They know how to play. They have some familiarity now with each other, and the chemistry seems to be strong. We should see some really good basketball. There are two different teams with two different styles, and if you like a team that can get up and down the floor and play fast, you'll enjoy watching the Pacers play. If you like to see good, methodical, efficient basketball on offense, you'll enjoy watching the Knicks play. Also, neither one of these teams have made it to the NBA Finals since 1999 and 2000, respectively. The Indiana Pacers and the Knicks are now playing each other for the fourth time in the Eastern Conference Finals. They played each other in 1994, 1999, and 2000. So, a lot of history there, a lot of game-winning plays made by both teams. In 94, Patrick Ewing hit a shot that won the game for him, came up clutch. 99, the Knicks won as well. Reggie Miller had probably one of the worst shooting performances of his life in that game 6, and the Knicks went on to play the Spurs in the finals. Spurs won it. But in 2000, Reggie Miller got back there and he was not taking any chances, and he put them away in game 6 with a 36-point game where he was just giving everybody the business. And so the Pacers made it to the finals and played the Lakers, and unfortunately ran into supreme level Shaq. Like Super Saiyan Shaq. Kobe too emerged and became a superstar overnight. So neither team really ran into a good situation where they could win a championship. Things are wide open, and either team really could perhaps win their first championship in 52 years. And I say that because the Knicks won in 1973 in the NBA Finals. The Indiana Pacers' last championship was in the ABA in 1973 as well. Now, in their fourth meeting, they have a chance to advance to the NBA Finals, where the NBA is wide open. There's no repeat team. There's no dominant team that has just been a dynasty that's going to stand in the way. I should say there's no teams with 3 superstars. That era is dead now. And so things are really wide open. It's all about who plays the best basketball from this point going forward. Now, both teams have strengths and weaknesses. The Knicks have built their identity around their methodical offensive efficiency. They shoot a decent percentage from the field, pretty high percentage in comparison to the teams that are in the playoffs. They have a high shooting percentage from the field and from the free throw line, and Jalen Brunson is great at drawing fouls and converting on those fouls. And so they put your team in a bad situation in a lot of ways by isoing Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. And both of those players are good at getting to the free throw line and converting. They also can shoot threes, so they stretch the floor in that way. Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, they're very strong defenders. They can be lockdown defenders too. And they make shooters uncomfortable because they have length and also enough strength to just kind of keep you off balance a little bit. The hustle plays too. I think that's something that really feeds into that Knicks culture. They're hard, hat-wearing, lunch pail-toting team where they go to work. They're not afraid to dive on the floor for loose rebounds. They're not afraid to set hard picks. They can score off broken plays. They get deflections. They get steals. And Josh Hart is the hustle MVP of the NBA, in my opinion. Guy can do it all and does it all for the Knicks, depending on what is necessary for him to do each night. He's a real warrior of a type player. And they're a good road team too. I think they were 24-17, I think is what I found out today. 24-17, including the playoffs. So they can play well on the road as well as at home. Now the Pacers' strengths, the Pacers are actually kind of on a historic tear in the playoffs. They are a strong, fast-paced scoring team. They share the ball freely. They wear you down with their depth and their intensity on defense by picking you up full court and pressuring you. They make it hard for you to get the ball in bounds. There are 4, I'd say, key areas, though, that they excel in is their offense. Rick Carlisle is an offensive genius, and he has the most efficient and willing passer in the NBA in Tyrese Halliburton. All of their starters are averaging at least 14 points a game in this playoffs. That hasn't been done since 1986, and that was the Boston Celtics team that won the NBA championship and that Rick Carlisle played on as well. Well, I don't know how much he played, but he was on the squad. He was on the bench. So through the first 2 rounds, the Pacers are shooting a league-leading 59% effective field goal percentage. That also is not just a league-leading. If that holds up, that would be the best percentage of any team in the playoffs of all time. So they are on a tear right now offensively. The whole team passes the ball more than any other team in the league. They lead the playoffs in assists per game. And they also score about 70% of their points off of passes, off of assists. That's just something we haven't seen in the playoffs. Probably maybe since Golden State, maybe 2015 Golden State, 2017 maybe when they had Kevin Durant. They're passing the ball as much as that team. Now, they also have depth. That's a huge strength of theirs. They have 6 players that are averaging double digits, and TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin in the playoffs are averaging 8, almost 9 points a game. So at any point, they have someone that can score 15 to 20 points. 8 players can do that. On any given night, you can't key in on just one player. And this keeps also those players fresher as the game goes on. There was a game last series against the Cavs where Rick Carlisle played 11 players. He went 11 deep in his rotation, which is crazy to think of. Because in the playoffs, they say you're supposed to shrink your bench and just play your best players. But having people that Rick Carlisle can trust and go out there for 10, 15 minutes really has been the key to their success. They're defending the ball very well, defending the 3-point shot extremely well in this playoffs. It had a couple of mishaps against the Bucks, and Gary Trent Jr. just went hot in a couple of games. But overall, they've defended the 3-point line very well, and they pressure the ball up 94 feet, which makes it harder for you to get into your offense and also wears down your ball handlers. So Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, they're going to see a lot of that pressure. How do these two teams match up now against each other? Well, Pacers play a transition, fast break, early offense style where they try to get to their shots before the defense can get set. The Knicks instead like to kind of pound the ball, go into their sets, a lot of pick and roll. If you take away the first option, they cut really well. They're able to get the ball down into the post. So they're more methodical in their offensive style. They can score in the fast break, though. The Knicks can get up the floor and score. But whether or not they're going to be able to do that on a regular basis is yet to be seen. They prefer to control the tempo, control the game's flow, and try to stifle the fast breaks by getting offensive rebounds and just defending really well. On this head-to-head, matchup, it kind of pits two different philosophies. Can we just get more possessions, which is what the Pacers try to do, get more opportunities to score and also score at a high rate? And will your team be able to keep up with our depth? And the Knicks would kind of like to grind down the Pacers and just wear them down with their physicality. What are some weaknesses, though, that the Pacers have that can be exploited? Rebounding is one of them. Pacers have struggled with rebounding, offensive rebounding in particular, throughout the playoffs and regular season. They've done a better job in the playoffs. I think they're 5th in the playoffs, so they've done a much better job in cleaning that problem up. But if the Knicks can get extra possessions off offensive rebounds, it's going to take away the Pacers' ability to run and also allow them to control the pace, which is what they want to do. Turnovers as well. The Pacers have had a couple games where they've been in the teens in turnovers. So if the Knicks can force turnovers, which they are pretty good, they have good defenders that can get into the passing lanes, get deflections. If they can do that, they also struggle against zone defenses. This was very effective in a couple of their losses, one to the Bucks and the one to the Cavs. They seem to have kind of solved that problem in the rest of the Cavs series after Game 4. But if the Knicks can rotate out to the shooters and also keep Nembhard and Halliburton from getting in the lane and breaking down the defense and opening up wide open shots or getting shots in the paint, then they're going to be very effective against the Pacers. And what are the Knicks' weaknesses? Well, the Knicks, sometimes they have an over-reliance on Brunson and ISO ball. So whether it's Brunson or Cat or Mikal Bridges, sometimes they let them just dribble, post up, face up, dribble, fade away shot. If you do that against the Pacers, that's playing into their hands. If they move the ball, then they're much more effective. Same for most teams, but if the Pacers can neutralize their primary ball handlers and keep them from moving the ball and cutting and things of that nature, so that if they can disrupt any of that rhythm from the Knicks, then they're going to be successful against them. Also, the Knicks have some perimeter defensive vulnerabilities. They give up a lot of three-point shots, and it hurt them against the Detroit series. Detroit's not even a great three-point shooting team. The Pacers are a great three-point shooting team, especially in the playoffs. They're shooting over 50% from three in the playoffs. And they allow them to have wide open shots. It's going to be a short series for the Knicks. I don't expect that to happen, though. I think the Knicks are going to tighten that up and do a better job. Also, the Knicks have limited depth and inconsistency in their rotations. Some games you see Precious Achiuwa, some games you don't. This could be a downfall for Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks, is if they don't play enough players and give basically their starters enough of a break to be fresh during the clutch. If the Pacers start pulling away in the fourth quarter, it could be because those Knicks starters are getting gassed. We've seen it happen to great teams, great players already in the playoffs. So, my overall predictions for this series. Pacers are just having an historic offensive postseason. We've never seen anything like this. The old adage that offenses slow down during the playoffs is clearly not something that Rick Carlisle believes in, because he's doing the opposite. They're outpacing their competition and using their depth to wear teams out. I think the Knicks were going to struggle keeping up with their pace and also not have enough guys when they go to the bench to maintain the level of scoring that they need. Not only is their bench not deep enough, they don't have enough scoring off their bench either to help them battle the scorers that the Pacers have on their bench. I think that it'll be the Pacers in 6, mainly for those reasons. Now, if the Pacers for some reason have an uncharacteristic shooting night, then the Knicks will win. The Knicks will have a good chance of winning. But I think it's going to be Pacers in 6. I think the Pacers are going back to the NBA Finals for those reasons. I could be wrong, but that's my take based on what I've seen and examining the stats for both teams. Here's something else that makes me feel so confident about that. The Pacers are statistically number 1 in about 4 or 5 categories this postseason. The Knicks aren't higher than 4 or 5 in any categories except for attempts, shot attempts. That's not a good sign. I think that's something that to me was very telling, was that the Knicks are playing okay, but they've been down by 20 points in multiple games. They struggled a little bit against Detroit. And Detroit, technically, that series should have went 7 because Detroit kind of got a bad break at the end of one of those games that should have led to 3 free throws. A lot of people don't talk about that, but I felt like Detroit was much closer against the Knicks than was shown because of some questionable calls. So the Knicks have been playing good basketball, but I don't feel like they've been playing great. Other than that game 6 where they closed out Boston, that was their one fantastic game where they just played out of their minds great. Now, if they play like that against the Pacers, then I'll say Knicks in 7. But I still think they're going to have some trouble in this series against the Pacers because of their depth, because of their speed, and because of just the Pacers' relentless attack on offense and defense. They're just going to pressure them nonstop. Should be a great series, though. And I think several of the games will be close. All right, we'll see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Tell me in the comments right now if you think I'm wrong and why I'm wrong. I'd love to hear that. I will respond to every single comment. How about that? If you ask a question or make a comment, I will respond to every single one. All right, until the next one, take care.